Did you know there's a small town in Illinois where people still refuse to celebrate Halloween? They don't hang up decorations. They don't let their kids trick-or-treat. Once a year, on the last night of October, the streets go dark before sunset. No one talks about why, but everyone knows. They say it started with a boy named Nathan Cole. And what happened in that quiet town was so terrifying that even decades later, people still whisper his name. Nathan grew up in a pale blue house at the end of Maple Street. His parents were churchgoers, calm, polite people who believed discipline could fix anything. But Nathan was strange. Even as a child, he didn't laugh, didn't play, didn't cry. He just watched. Neighbors remembered how he'd stand on the sidewalk for hours staring at nothing. Sometimes he'd whisper things to himself low enough that no one could hear. Other times they'd see him carving small wooden figures, each one with missing eyes. Then, one Halloween night when he was just 11, something inside him broke. His sister, April, had gone out trick-or-treating with friends. She never came home. Police found her body in the backyard shed. Nathan was standing next to her, holding a kitchen knife, face blank. When they asked him why he did it, he said nothing, not a word, just stared. He was sent away to a state psychiatric hospital far from home. For 15 years, doctors tried to reach him. He never spoke, never reacted. One of his psychiatrists once said, "There's nothing inside him, just silence, just watching." And then, on October 30th, 15 years later, Nathan Cole escaped. It was raining that night. The power went out at the hospital, and when the lights came back on, his room was empty. No broken window, no sign of struggle, just a clean bed and a cracked door. They searched all night, but he was gone, and by morning, a stolen white truck was found abandoned just outside his old hometown. The police brushed it off as coincidence, but people who lived there, especially the older ones, locked their doors early that year, because deep down, they knew Nathan was coming home. On Maple Street, life went on as usual. Kids carved pumpkins, parents drank cider, and teenagers planned to sneak out that night. One of them was Lena Matthews, a high school senior who lived just 3 houses away from the old Cole place. She didn't believe in the stories. To her, Nathan Cole was just an urban legend, something the adults made up to keep kids out of trouble. That evening, she babysat for the Carsons, a kind family with 2 little boys. They were dressed as pirates, running around the living room with fake swords. Outside, the last few rays of sunlight faded, and a soft mist rolled through the streets. Lena looked out the window and paused. There was someone standing across the street, a tall man, completely still, wearing a pale mask. She blinked. He was gone. She laughed nervously to herself. Probably some kid in costume, she muttered. But something about the shape of that figure, the way it didn't move, didn't fidget, made her uneasy. She closed the curtains. A few blocks away, Sheriff Daniels was in his patrol car, sipping coffee. He was old enough to remember the original case, the boy in the mask, the sister in the shed. Every year around Halloween, he'd get calls from people saying they'd seen Nathan, but it was always pranksters, always false alarms. Still, this year felt different. The air felt heavier, like the town was holding its breath. His radio crackled. A dispatcher's voice came through, shaky. "Sheriff, we got a call from Maple Street. Someone says they saw a man standing outside the Carson residence." Daniels froze. That was the Cole house's old neighborhood. He hit the siren. Back at the Carson home, Lena had finally gotten the kids to sleep. The TV flickered in the corner, showing old Halloween cartoons. She sat on the couch, scrolling through her phone, when she heard something. A soft thud upstairs. She frowned. The boys were supposed to be in bed. "Ethan?"
"Ben?" she called. No answer. She took the flashlight from the counter and climbed the stairs slowly. At the end of the hallway, one of the bedroom doors was slightly open. She pushed it gently. The window was open, curtains fluttering in the wind, and on the floor, a small wooden figure with no eyes. Her heart dropped. She backed away, turned to run, and saw him, standing in the hallway. The mask, the knife, the stillness. She screamed and slammed the door shut, bolting it with a chair. She grabbed the phone. No signal. The power flickered, then went out. The house went silent, except for the sound of breathing on the other side of the door. Slow, calm, patient, she held her breath. The doorknob turned, once, twice, then stopped. For a moment she thought maybe he'd gone. Then, crash!
The door splintered, wood flying. Lena ran down the stairs, barefoot, gasping. She grabbed the keys from the counter and darted out the back door, into the cold night. Behind her, the sound of boots followed. She sprinted across lawns, through the fog, until she saw headlights. Sheriff Daniels' patrol car screeching to a stop. "Help me! He's in the house!" she screamed. Daniels pulled her behind the car, gun drawn. He stepped forward, flashlight cutting through the mist. "Nathan Cole," he called. No answer. Then a shadow moved behind the house. Daniels fired once, twice. The light caught the mask for a split second before it disappeared into the trees. The sheriff chased him, but the fog swallowed everything. Only silence remained. By morning, the town was on lockdown. The Carsons were safe, but terrified. The police searched every inch of the woods, every abandoned building, every shed. They found nothing. But that night, Mrs. Carson found muddy footprints leading up to the boy's window, and on the porch, another wooden figure. Over the next few days, strange things started happening across town. Phones ringing at odd hours with no one on the line. Lights flickering even with the power steady. People swearing they saw someone standing across the street, watching, always too far to see clearly. The local news said it was hysteria, but Sheriff Daniels knew better. He'd seen that mask. He'd heard that breathing. Nathan Cole wasn't gone. He was home. A week later, Lena tried to move on. She went back to school, tried to act normal, but she couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw that mask in the hallway. She started to notice small things, scratches on her windowsill, missing mail, toys turning up where she hadn't left them. One night, she decided to face her fear. She went back to Maple Street, to the old Cole house. It had been abandoned for years, boarded up and forgotten. But inside, she found signs someone had been living there. A sleeping bag, a lantern, and hundreds of wooden figures stacked in rows along the walls, each one missing its eyes. In the center of the room, she saw something carved into the floorboards. Home. Her flashlight flickered. She turned and saw him in the corner, still, silent, waiting. Lena ran, stumbling out the back door and down the street, screaming. When she looked back, he wasn't chasing her. He just stood there, mask glinting in the moonlight, watching. The police searched the house the next morning. It was empty. No sign of anyone ever being there. Even the wooden figures were gone. Lena moved away not long after, but every Halloween she still gets an envelope in the mail. No return address. Inside, a single wooden figure, always with no eyes. And that's why in that small Illinois town, you'll never see Halloween lights again. People there don't take chances. They don't open their doors at night. Because somewhere out there, Nathan Cole is still walking the streets, quiet, patient, wearing that pale mask, waiting for someone to forget, waiting for someone to celebrate, waiting to come home. Pumpkin.